answer to that question is that dilemma will always be there in different shapes and forms. With the pandemics and the crisis that we have in the last few months, in some respects and in some aspects of corporate responsibility, of course, there are those areas where I think it's more critical than others. For example, in the case of companies having serious business concerns, especially in the light of decreasing demand and the inability to provide the services that are required. This will definitely involve the issue of what you call overheads, and normally about 70% of such budgets normally come from employee salaries and wages. Obviously, this will be a burden, especially when there is no inflow of revenue coming in. So if we can't help by expecting companies to have a dilemma on how they are going to maintain those employees who may not be able to contribute to this revenue flow. If it is supposed to be for a short period, of course, the company would have reserves to overcome this. But fortunately, in the case of Malaysia, the government, I'm sure in other countries too, the governments have come in with some kind of subsidy plan to ensure that those who are in employment will not be retrenched, at least during the period where the government provides some kind of subsidies. It may not be the entire salary, but at least up to a certain amount, and therefore it lessens the pressure and the dilemma that comes with it for the company to retrench or lay off some of these employees. However, these subsidies are not what we call over a long period of time. It is maybe during as far as Malaysia is concerned, it was extended until September. Then I think they extended again until December. But after that, in 2021, things will be back to normal, and the dilemma will I would say reappear, especially companies which are already weak, even in 2019, and made worse with the pandemic. And that includes, the tourism industry, the hotel industry, even the restaurant business as well, where customers fear because they may be in contact with people and places where they may have to go for a quarantine. Like, for example, recently, a lot of UK citizens who went to Spain, now they have to be quarantined for 2 weeks after they come back. So a lot of uncertainties that will prevent. So it will take a while before these kind of industries can recover. And in the meantime, I'm not so sure that the choice will be to maintain and keep on losing. And therefore, I think it may not be unethical for them to consider options, because this is a matter of survival. And if they are not able to survive, especially the small one with lower amount of reserves, it will be very difficult for them to even continue with business. So business continuity is another issue. And so I would think that a responsible organization or ethical leader would want to consider how to plan for that kind of separation in such a way that it will be win-win, rather than say that we can't afford, therefore we have to retrench. But how to do that process in a more ethical way, through proper communication, through assistance, in doing some kind of quick skills training, upskill training, so that they can find employment elsewhere. and also other things, that's where communication is important. Compassion comes with communication. Talk to them and find out what are their unique specific issues, and do something to help reduce the pain of separation. I think this is going to happen, and some of the employees also anticipate this, but I am sure that the time given during this subsidy period is adequate for a lot of employers to, if they are proactive, to know what they need to do in order to prepare themselves for eventualities should they happen. So I think that is what ethical leadership should be. You have to prioritize and balance rather than saying that it's one or the other. Quite a lot of employers who especially those who are at the age where they are about to retire. These are going to be those age group where it may be difficult to find alternative jobs, because priorities are more for the younger ones to be employed. As you know that, unemployment now is increasing. Even in Malaysia now, even though we're not that bad, but when you talk about unemployed graduates, it's a very serious political concern. So I think for those who are at that age where they are closer to retirement, they may have serious problem in finding alternative jobs, because industries that are prepared to take new graduates or new employees, are not prepared to pay high salaries in this situation now, unless they have got some very important core skills that can be used in other industries. And this is where IT knowledge is also important, but I think that's necessary. However, it's not sufficient. I mean, knowing the business is also important. So the concerns that employees will have will be mainly employability. But in the meantime, the concerns will be more in terms of, the health and safety. That's equally important. But for those who are in the essential services, I think the concern is more health and safety rather than employment, because they are needed. They have to deal with customers, and they have to be very careful about how they protect themselves. And this is where good policies coming from the organization, the employer, the communication, understanding their situation, rather than expecting them to just come and do the job, but to take care of how they are going to get the job done in a way that protects themselves. I think that is a sign of good ethical leadership. Good policies, good support system. This is necessary for employers. They expect the employers to be concerned about how they deliver their job, even though they are going to be employed, because they are in the essential services. So it's not an issue of unemployment, but the issue is their safety. So the other one is for other industries which are requiring higher order skills. I think the concern of the employees would be, how do I stay at home, work from home, and yet be equally productive, and yet be able to contribute? I think this is where employers need to provide collaborative tools. Of course, networking, communication, but I think collaborative tools are the most important. That will enhance productivity. So if during the work from home, they can enhance their productivity by adopting advanced and simple to use collaborative tools, I think they will feel very less concerned about being retrenched or what, because they are still contributing to productivity of the organization. So it's a question of how to network, how to the IT department and the HR can play important roles in such a way that employees feel that there is no difference whether they are at the workplace or they are working from home, but they are still contributing to a collaborative productivity. which means to say that, you know, they are enhancing the productivity of the organization by working from home. So their concern will be more how technology can be leveraged during this period so that after this they will become more productive, or at least they will not be less productive. That will be another concern, I think.